All right, so have you ever noticed, like, when you watch the credits of a movie, just how many people are
Well,
involved?
it's absolutely.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah.
And you start to realize that there's just like a whole army of talented folks behind the scenes that we never even really think about.
It really makes you appreciate, I think, everything that goes into making a movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so today, we're going to dive into that world, the behind-the-scenes magic of movie making,
Yeah.
but not in the way you might typically think. We're not talking like bloopers or deleted scenes or anything like that.
Right.
We're going deeper, more into the creative process itself,
Mm.
like the challenges that filmmakers face, decisions they have to make, all of those little fascinating details, all the stuff that happens way before it even gets to the editing room.
Exactly.
And to help us, we're going to be taking a deep dive into this podcast called B-Roll Redux.
Oh, interesting.
It's hosted by filmmaker David C. Connolly and director David Loritz.
Okay.
And what really struck me about this podcast is just like how real it is. It's not like your typical super polished like interview, It feels more like you're just kind of sitting in on a conversation with two friends who happen to be like really passionate filmmakers, sharing war stories, giving their insights into how things really work.
I can see how that would be really insightful, getting like a more unfiltered perspective.
Exactly. They're not afraid to talk about like the struggles they've faced
Yeah.
or creative clashes they've had or even, sometimes even disasters.
Right.
And that, I think, makes it even more valuable because you get like a true sense of what it's really like to be in the trenches making movies.
Yeah, I agree. Hearing about those real life experiences can often be more insightful than just like the polished final product or something.
Totally. There's this one episode that really stood out to me, and it was where they had a director on talking about location scouting and like just how much effort goes into finding the perfect spot. Because the director was explaining how that one decision, like where you shoot, can completely set the mood of the entire film.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's like the setting becomes almost a character in itself, right?
Exactly. And it made me realize like how much thought goes into even the simplest choices in filmmaking.
It's really interesting to think about how those things all layer on top of each other.
Absolutely. And for me, as someone who really enjoys film analysis,
Yeah.
digging into why films work, all this behind the scenes knowledge I'm getting from this show, it's like having a secret decoder ring or something.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, suddenly you start noticing like all the little things that contribute to a film's impact.
Yeah.
The things that maybe you wouldn't have even picked up on before.
You become more aware of like the director's choices and the overall vision.
Yep, exactly. And what's great is B-Roll Redux, it's not just for aspiring filmmakers.
Oh, good.
It's really for anyone who loves movies, whether you're a film buff or just curious about like the magic that happens behind the screen.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
It's really like an all-access pass to the world of filmmaking, but in a way that feels super intimate and engaging.
I like that. So as you listen to B-Roll Redux, try to consider how it might change the way you watch movies. Do you start to notice things that you may not have before?
Yeah, that's a great point. I know I certainly did.
Yeah.
It really opens up a whole new dimension.
It makes you appreciate the art form in a different way.
Absolutely. All right, well, that's it for our deep dive today. We'll see you next time.
See you then.